Hello guys, it's Joss Allen from GAK.co.uk here. Today we're going to be checking out the Peavey 6505 micro head. So, the Peavey micro head. Let's take a look at the front panel. So let's take a look at the front panel here. So if we start on the furthest left, obviously we've got our input jack. Then we've got our channel select button between the two channels that the amplifier has. We've got our rhythm preamp knob here. We've got a bright switch, and then we've got a crunch switch, which takes the rhythm channel to a sort of a further, even more distorted realm. Then we have our lead preamp knob, which is this body here. Then we go on to our 3-band EQ for the amp, which is covered on both the channels. We've got low, mids, and highs. Then we go to our post gain, which is basically the volume for the amplifier. Then we have a reverb knob, which is a really, really nice touch, especially if you're going to be doing any of your sort of soaring lead tones. And then for the power amp section, we've got resonance and presence. One of the things that I thought was a really, really cool little nice touch with this amplifier was that on the switches that you see here, the standby and the power, when you have it on standby, the two little lights go red, as you can see, and then when you go back onto actually playing the amplifier, switch it on, they turn green. So it tells you exactly, you know, if you're not sure whether you're on or off. The amplifier comes with a 2-button foot switch as well, which is really, really cool. One of the other things is the wattage. So it goes from 20 and you can select it all the way down to 1 watt. So another one of the really, really nice touches with this amplifier is that you can do silent recording without a cabinet, which is a really, really cool thing to do, especially now that everybody is doing sort of home recordings, but you know, using digital preamplification, for instance. Whereas this model, you can have the valve tone, but you don't even have to run it with a cab. You can go direct into your interface and start recording. So that's a really, really cool thing. So what we're going to do is, like every other amp demo, I'm going to mess around with the amplifier, and we're going to see what sort of tones we can achieve from this mighty little monster of an amp head we have here. I've got it selected on 20 watts so that we can get all the headroom that we can possibly get. The amp is running into an Engel 212 cabinet, which is run by Vintage 30s, and I'm also doing the demo with this Ibanez RG921, which is a really, really nice guitar. It's got this amazing Wengi and Babinga neck on there, so it's completely satin finish. It's got a selection of Ibanez's passive humbuckers and a 5-way selector switch, so we can get those sort of single coil tones as well. So, without further ado, let's check it out. This is the Peavey 6505 micro head. Cool, so let's start off on the rhythm channel, which is the green channel, as you can see there. I've got the preamp selection started at 5. This isn't really a clean amp, okay? So you can't really achieve those sparkling cleans, but the amp is not built for that sort of thing. It's a high gain amplifier. So what it does really well is those low gain cleans, low gain sort of drive sounds, sorry, so that you can achieve those really cool bluesy sort of sounds. Good thing is I've got the single coil tones on this guitar, so we can check those out. I've got the EQ set, as you can see there, with the mids a little bit higher, the highs dropped off a bit, and so are the lows. And let's actually add a touch of reverb. So let's see what that sounds like. So if I move to the bridge humbucker, because that was the single coil position, if you move to the bridge humbucker on the same settings, you get almost this like classic rock sound. really usable sort of low gain sound that you can achieve out of this amplifier. And the touch of reverb creates sort of a slightly bigger tone. Let me show you how much reverb you actually do have on tap. So it's not an over-encompassing sound, you know, it's still a usable reverb, which is a really, really good thing to have. You get amplifiers where the reverb is just so overpowering, even on, say, like 3. That was on like 7, 8, and it's still quite a usable sound. So let's move on to the sort of the crunch switch. So if I push that in, let's see how much more gain you actually get from it when you engage that switch. So a really, really dark, smooth sort of overdriven sound. Let's mess around with, let me show you the resonance and presence knobs so you can see what sort of effect they have on the tone. Awesome. So the other switch that we have on the rhythm section is the bright switch. So if we engage that, it just, as the name would state, it makes the tone a little bit brighter, so it cuts through the mix a little bit more. So let's check what that sounds like. So this is without the bright switch. And this is with. So only a slight difference, but it's still a really usable function, especially if you're playing some lead work, or you've got some humbuckers that sound rather dark and you want to sort of amp them up a bit so they cut through the mix a little bit more. It's a really nice touch. So let's move on to the other channel and see what sort of gain we can get out of this. So now we're on the overdrive channel, or the lead channel, should I say. I've set the EQ all back to 12 o'clock, so we can kind of sort of go from there, really. The resonance and the presence, as you can see, are set like so. I'm going to touch the reverb off just for now. So yeah, the preamp gain is at 5 or 12 o'clock, so let's see what that sounds like. So as you can hear, that is an unbelievable amount of gain, and that's only on 5. I personally feel that if you go a bit further than that, it starts to lose a bit of clarity, so you don't want to go too far, but that's because there's just so much drive on this amplifier. So if we back off on the gain, let's move it down to about 3. Let's see what the sort of drive sounds like then. So there's still an unbelievable amounts of drive on that, even though I've backed off onto 3. So the good thing about it is that you can really use it as just a dedicated lead sound, only for the reason that the rhythm channel has got so much drive on it as well, with engaging the crunch sound, that you can kind of just switch between the two, one for rhythm, one for lead, as it states. So if we bring the gain back up to about 6, just crank the mids a bit, drop the highs, and the bass as well. This is a really nice sort of percussive lead sound, so I'll show you that now. So as you can hear, really sort of nice, dark, thick sort of lead tone. If we add a little bit of reverb to that, I'm just going to back off on the resonance as well, bring the highs up instead. See what sort of lead sound that creates. Just a really usable high gain amplifier. So just to recap, we've got a 2-channel amplifier with the rhythm, with the bright and the crunch switch, just to add that little bit more drive to it. Then we move on to the lead channel with a 3-band EQ that covers both channels. We've got our post gain for both the lead and the rhythm, which is essentially the volume, whereas the preamp is like your gain. You've got the reverb, which is a really cool, nice touch, and then you got your presonance and resonance, and then your standby and power. 20 watts, 5 watts, 1 watts, all switchable. You can do silent recording with it as well, so you can go into your computer and you can record without using a cabinet, which is a really cool thing. And obviously the size is perfect for gigging, or even taking to sort of your mate's house if you're going to be doing any recording as well. So, if you have any comments or you want to ask me anything on the amplifier, please feel free to comment in the section below this video, and I will endeavour to answer as quickly as I can. So yeah, cheers guys, that was the Peavey 6505 Micro Head.